I've been working on some new magic.
Oh yeah, what you got?
Alakazam and Alakazam.
Ooh, great, Ted. Let's just stick to D&D magic and the top 10 homebrew conjuration spells from D&D Beyond.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds.
Now let's see what magical spells we can conjure in this video.
All right, so we're doing our top 10 series. We're working our way through all the different schools of magic and different spells. We're going to do Conjuration this time. If you're not familiar with this series, we go to D&D Beyond and we pull up the top 10 spells that have been, for a particular school, that have been searched the most. And we figure that by views, the ones that have been looked at the most, that seems to be what people are interested in. And from there, we're going to pick two of our favorites to talk about, or two at least that we find interesting. But not only that, if you want even more, you can do it by a factor of 3. Over on the website, there's an article, which is literally just that. 5e D&D Conjuration Homebrew spells by a factor of 3. Once again, there will be a link down in the description, but also it's only fair to mention that the sponsor for this video is D&D Beyond. There will be a link in the description for them as well. Power up your games with D&D Beyond. You can go over there. You can take a look at the spells yourself. I believe you just need a free account to look at the homebrew content, but it's free. Go sign up.
But if you're looking for another way to help out the channel, to keep making videos like this, as well as all the awesome content over on nerdarchy.com, why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
As a special thank you, you'll receive monthly rewards for 5e content for both DMs and players alike. We make magic items we sometimes turn into print and play magic item cards. We have drop-in encounters ready for your games, spells, feats, races, subclasses, and more. There's even a chance to game with us. We have a monthly fan game that you can sign up for. With that, you can find a link in the description, a link up here for a special sampler free download that you can check it out before you buy.
All right, so we always go through the list. We read the top 10. As Dave says, we're going to pick a couple of them and figure out, what exactly is this all going to look like?
I'm going to pick up my handy-dandy device here. We've got Egg, Avalis Airblade, Black Holy Fire, Conjure Weapon, Apprentice's Cantrip, Burnishing Soul, Ancestral Howl, Acero Spectral Blade, Animate Armor, Cage Match.
All right, so there's definitely a lot of very cool, interesting concepts to play in there. Some of them were, fairly close to the mark. Some I felt were way off, and unfortunately, that's the way homebrew works. The one that I found the most interesting, the most talking points, was going to be Animate Armor. It's a 4th level spell. It's a touch spell. Duration is until dispelled. That's a bit wonky. Attacker save is none. Casting time is an action. It's a ritual spell. It's got verbal somatic material. The school is Conjuration, and there's nothing listed for damage effect because you're calling something into being. This is available for Paladin, Wizard, College of Valor, College of Swords, Bard, War Domain, Forge Domain, the Hexblade, and this is by Lord Utachester, or Lord Utashur, sorry. And this has got a, quite a long description there. The spellcaster conjures a minor spirit under her control that animates the armor that she touches while casting the spell. The armor becomes a construct creature that follows your combat orders, being unable to speak, manipulate objects, or comprehend any being but its master. It has the following stats. If it's light armor, it has 16 hit points and an AC equal to the AC that the armor provides normally, +2. If it's medium armor, it has 20 hit points and AC equal to AC that the armor provides normally, +1. If it's heavy armor, it has 24 hit points and AC equal to the AC that the armor provides normally. During combat, the animated armor stands adjacent to its master, who can make it use its reaction to impose disadvantage on attack rolls against the spellcaster, or give the spellcaster advantage on a dexterity saving throw. If a shield was adjacent to the armor during this spell, the shield is also animated, giving the animated armor +2 on AC. If any kind of weapon was adjacent to the armor during the spell, it is also animated and may be used by the animated armor during each of its turn to attack a target chosen by its master. The spell ends if the spellcaster uses a bonus action to do so, and all the animated equipment the spell returns to normal and is usable. The spell also ends if the animated armor is reduced to 0 hit points or less. In this case, the armor itself is destroyed, but if it was using any weapons or shield, they are still usable, but not animated. So it requires an armor of any kind, plus optionally a weapon and or shield, as you would expect. I like the concept of the spell really well, but I think mechanically I'd rather have it have a listed stat block, and whatever armor you're using, it just incorporates whatever it is into that particular stat block rather than using 3 different types of AC values based on it.
As this is written, first of all, it's a transmutation spell. All you need to do is look at Animate Object, and you'll see that it's a transmutation spell. Now, how to fix it? I think you nailed it, right? Create a stat block, and instead of animate armor, it's summon or conjure armor spirit, right? You can only conjure this spirit into a suit of armor that it uses to anchor to this plane,
Right.
And the armor does what the armor does. It's just literally that, right? It's wearing that suit of armor. It has its own stats. And you just template everything on it. Maybe you could add in there, it knows how to use shields and likes to use them. So if a shield is nearby, it will pick it up and use it.
Yeah, same thing with a weapon. And you could then have listed, because and again, no insult to Lord Udischer, there's nothing beyond an AC and a hit point value. Like, what does it use for? Any kind of saves it has to make. What does it have to make for an attack bonus? Those kind of things could be or should be extrapolated into a stat block, and I think from there it then falls better into a conjuration spell and becomes more useful. And I love any spell that has an associated stat block, because then that becomes useful on several different factors.
Yeah. Also, you could then take that spell and give it an upcast too, right? Like making it more powerful. There are definitely some template conjures that you can look at in order to see how those work. And then with it's just the added thing of, you need to anchor it to a suit of armor for it to maintain its form and its plane for whatever reason. And then maybe you come up with some cool lore why that it exists.
Right. And for me, I'm super into animated armor as a monster stat block. So having a spell that has a facsimile, even if it doesn't create the same stat block, it's still like, oh yeah, I dig this thing. And here's a way for the players to have something similar. Love it.
So I like the flavor and some of the things in there. Needs a little work, but with a little massage, I think it could be a great kind of Stop! We have our second Kickstarter ready to go. Check the link in the description.
Add 250 magic item tarot card to your gaming resources right now.
Mageforge are magic items from our very own games and minds ready to use in your game.
So check it out, back it, follow it, whatever it is that you need to do.
And get on that list. Stay nerdy. I went with Cage Match because it is freaking ridiculous. I'm not saying this is a good spell or a bad spell, but I will say it is a ridiculous spell. It also has some problems as well, like the other one where it had no duration, which is weird. So Cage Match is a 9th level spell. Casting time is a reaction. The range area is sight, verbal somatic material, duration until dispelled, school conjuration, no attack or save, damage effect, necrotic. This is the ultimate spell for any spellcaster who prioritizes awesomeness over effectiveness. Which also, that statement is not true as we read. You bring down a metal cage around a monster you can see at the beginning of combat and raise up a wrestling ring beneath it. The cage and ring are always scale. For example, casting the spell on a medium or large humanoid creates a normal wrestling, while on a huge fiend it would be a city size and size of an entire mountain range when you cast on a gargantuan. The cage is indestructible. The ring will not buckle from being directly attacked. As a bonus action, at the end of any of your turns, you may choose a monster of equal challenge rating to the caged monster to conjure it into the ring. This includes homebrew, duplicates, and monsters from other fictional universes. This provides two monsters a way to escape. The last one standing wins, causing the cage to lift and the wrestling ring to evaporate. You can continue adding monsters at the end of every turn as long as the sizes do not eclipse the ring. The cage will raise in height to fit any monster too tall to fit, as long as the width does not break the ring's parameters. Powers like vanishing portals and sensory distortion can be used within the ring, but cannot pass through it. The ring is entirely inescapable without defeating one's opponent in the cage match, and beings outside cannot be attacked from within. When a monster within the cage pulls off a legitimate wrestling move, the target of the attack is zapped by the cage walls for an extra 3d8 necrotic damage. So the reaction is beginning combat with a monster, and an iron bar and a length of rope are the components. King Ray is the creator of this, and classes Bard, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard, several of which don't get access to 9th level spells, are all capable of casting this spell.
So if you go into epic levels and your Ranger and Paladin get access to 9th level spells on those crazy levels, then sure enough, they can get cage match.
This is clearly a joke. I hope. But it is hilarious, and it is funny, and it is absolutely awesome. Yes, this does not work at all as a spell in your game. But props for the Looney Tune style effects.
So the conjuring of the match itself, hilarious.
Yeah.
In addition to, it can't get out, and you get to pull another creature that you can then keep every turn putting another creature in there.
Yeah.
Well beyond 9th level, well beyond typical epic proportions, because no conjuration spell actually allows you to get an equivalent level of, end game scenario. Sounds like, through reading, and I didn't read this one in advance because you had selected it before we started this. So this was all raw reaction. Things can't come out of the cage match and affect you if you're outside, but it didn't say anything about people outside not being able to affect anything inside. So I really have to be like, wow, this is utterly crazy. Utterly awesome, but this is more of one of those mythic spells of all right, there's probably a single scroll of this, and it's not something you could put in your spell book. This is an artifact level 1-use deal.
Yeah, I agree. There should be a line in there as well that you can't affect it from the outside as well. It seems only fair, but the spell's so ridiculous. Who cares?
So all in all, I don't think cage matches, no offense, fixable, but hilarious.
Yeah,
sure. And sometimes that's the way homebrew is going to be. To the creator of these kinds of spells, if you want to put that stuff in your game because those moments become epic and what have you, then by all means at your home table, that's fantastic.
Listen,
thank you for
Cleric
sharing.
of Chaos would absolutely allow this in his game. Just saying.
Sure. Like I said, I don't have a problem if you like that kind of stuff. For standard play outside of Acquisitions Inc. and that kind of stuff, I don't think most players are going to use something like that. But utterly awesome to read, and thank you for sharing.
I'm going to prove Ted wrong. I'm going to create a usable version of cage match for the game.
All right. Well, you got a lot of things. We from today's filming alone, we have to create a game where everything is just tests, and then using cage match.
They're going to all appear in your next session.
All right.
That you guys are playing in.
Sure.
What do you guys think? Would you allow these into your games? Would you tweak them? Have you made conjuration spells over on D&D Beyond Homebrew, and you'd like to share them with the Nerdarchy community? Let us know down in the comments below.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those cool things like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and cast that spell all over that notification bell.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so come on back. But you can't wait till then. No worries, we got you covered. Up here you can find a card to the top 10 homebrew D&D spells we did for the School of Divination.
So until next time, stay nerdy.